Hi, this is Paul Tudoroff. I wanted to hook you guys up with another free video. It's been a little while since I did one. This one is in response to an email I received from one of the members of my newsletter. And I'm going to read you his email here. Hi, my name is Ricardo. I'm from Portugal and I am 16 years old. I started learning classic guitar 6 months ago with classes, but electric guitar is the one I really enjoy, so I'm learning by myself. I would like to have some tips from a great guitarist like you, and if possible I would like you to do some lessons about hammer-ons, pull-offs, and tapping. Thank you for your time, and sorry if my English is not very good. Well, first off I'd like to say, your English is fine, Ricardo. It's definitely much better than my Portuguese. And I appreciate your kind words, and I appreciate your interest in my newsletter. For those of you that aren't signed up to my newsletter, you'll be able to see the address on the screen right here. So we're going to tackle just one of those things in this lesson. We're going to look at some good hammer-on exercises, some real simple ones. Usually the first scale most guitarists learn is a pentatonic scale, and I've seen people do different exercises where they do chromatic things and strange things that aren't really things that you would play in an actual playing context for the most part. So I prefer to teach exercises within scales and melodic devices that we might actually use when we're soloing. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to show you a simple hammer-on exercise that uses the pentatonic scale. I'm going to demonstrate it using only the first two patterns, but you can do it in all of the patterns. We're going to line our hand up with our first finger at the 5th fret, so we're going to play this A minor pentatonic scale. Our 4th finger will play any notes at the 8th fret, and our 3rd finger will play any notes at the 7th fret. So the only finger that's not really getting a workout here in this particular exercise would be the 2nd finger. So what we're going to do, we're going to pick the note at the 5th fret on the low E string, and we're going to hammer the note at the 8th fret. We're basically going to just move our way up through the scale shape. We're going to pick 5th fret on the A string, and we're going to hammer to the 7th fret. Then we're going to go to the D string, and we're going to pick 5th fret and hammer to the 7th fret again. Then we'll go to the G string, we'll pick the 5th fret, first finger to the 5th fret, hammer this 3rd finger once again to the 7th fret. Then when we get to the B string, we're going to pick the 5th fret note, we're going to hammer our pinky to the 8th fret. And then we're going to do the same thing on the high E string. So basically we're working our way ascending the A minor pentatonic scale at the 5th fret, the first pattern, playing every note. Now what we're going to do when we descend, we're going to use the same exact fingering. So we're going to put our index finger anchored at the 5th fret on every string. We're going to hammer the next note on. So even though we're moving down the scale, we're still going to hammer a second note on each string. So we do 5/8 on the high E string with the pinky providing the hammer. Same thing on the B string, 5/8. Again the pinky hammered. On the G string we're going to do 5th fret with the index, hammer with the 7th fret with the 3rd finger. The D string is exactly the same as the G, and so is the A string. Then we get to the low E string again, we're going to play 5th fret, hammer pinky to the 8th fret. So you'll work through this pattern, ascending and descending, basically just like you would practice going up and down the scale. If you don't have the scale pattern, it will be in my newsletter along with a bunch of other free lessons. So if you aren't subscribed, definitely check it out. Here's the address again. At the time of this video, I believe there's right around probably a dozen free lessons, but it's growing all the time, so there could be way more than that by now. But all you got to do is sign up for the newsletter, get all those free lessons right off the bat. No extra things to do or any funny stuff like that. So let me continue on here. Here's going to be this pentatonic scale. I'm going to go from the low E string to the high E string, and I'm going to work my way back using hammers on every string. good, useful exercise. It uses your hands in a way that you would actually use them if you were playing solos. We're going to move on to the second pattern here. For the second pattern of the A minor pentatonic scale, we're going to align our second finger at the 8th fret. So our second finger will play any notes at the 8th fret. Our pinky will play any notes at the 10th fret. Our index will play any notes at the 7th fret. And our third finger will play any notes at the 9th fret. So low E string, 8, 10. So that's second finger, hammer with 4th. On the A string, we're going to have first finger at the 7th fret and hammer at the 10th fret with our 4th finger. On the D string, it's going to be the same as the A. First finger at the 7th fret, hammer the 4th finger at the 10th. On the G string, we're going to put the first finger once again at the 7th fret and hammer this time with the third finger at the 9th fret. And then on the B string, we're going to have the second finger at the 8th fret. We're going to hammer the 4th finger at the 10th fret. And we're going to do the same thing on the high E string. Second finger at the 8th fret, hammering the 4th finger to the 10th fret. So I'm going to walk through that real slow here. 8, 10 on the low E. 7, 10 on the A. 7, 10 on the D. 7, 9 on the G. 8, 10 on the B. And 8, 10 on the high E string. And then what you're going to do is you're going to work your way back down the scale doing the same thing. And again, it's a great exercise for, this one we actually used all 4 fingers within it. Another thing that I like to do with these kind of hammer exercises, I would recommend for you to do, is playing through all 5 pentatonic scales. Again, you should have those scales from the newsletter. If not, along with this video, at least my subscribers, you'll be getting a link to this video on YouTube right in the newsletter. So you'll have access to that pentatonic scale right there down at the bottom of the email you'll have received. So another thing I like to do with these in all 5 patterns is I like to do, I mentioned this before in one of my other lessons that I did, but I call it my twisted rule of 3s, but I'm not even going to go into the details of that because you probably already read that in the other lesson. I'm just going to tell you the basic gist of this here, how we're going to apply it to the scale. What we're going to do is we're going to play the E string 2 notes, A string 2 notes, and D string 2 notes. We're going to use hammering. There'll be a tablature along with this too that you can download so you can actually see the fretboard diagram and everything. Now after I do that 3 strings, I'm going to move back 1 string to the A string, and I'm going to hammer onto the A string, the D string, and the G string. Then I'm going to move back to the D string, and I'm going to hammer on 3 strings from there. So I would do D string, G string, and B string. Then I'm going to move back to the G string, and I'm going to hammer on 3 strings from there. So all together we've got this. And then you can do the same thing descending the scale too. You can do high E, B, and G string. Then you'll move back to the B string. You'll do B string, G string, and D string. Then you move back to the G string. You'll do G string, D string, and A string. Then you move back to the D string, and you'll do D string, A string, and low E. So all together coming down, we've got. So if I put it together, here's the ascending version. And you can speed it up as you go along. I recommend starting it out slow to keep it accurate. Run this same exercise through all 5 patterns. That way, you'll get used to doing it with the various finger combinations and stuff. You'll really have it drilled home. So once again, I want to thank Ricardo for his email. And next time when I'll cover pull-offs, and probably the lesson after that we'll look at some tapping exercises and stuff. Thanks a lot. Appreciate your guys' interest.